Hello and welcome to Rob's Retro Reviews, where in this video we're going to be taking a look at all of the Tropy time trials in Crash Team Racing for the PS1. So I've already done a video series where we take a look at all of the relic races in Crash Team Racing, but in this two-part series we're going to be taking a look at the time trials instead. So I think the general sort of consensus out there is that the time trials are harder than the relic races, but when I was actually doing them, I didn't find them to be quite as hard as the relics. Whether that's because of the character I was using, or whether it's just because I was so used to the game by the point I did the time trials, I'm not sure. But yeah, I thought I would do a video on it anyway, because it kind of shows off and requires a different skill set. Because obviously with the relic races, you're having to take different routes each lap and get the time crates. Whereas in the time trials, it's pretty much just a straight up race where you just need to go as quick as you possibly can. So I started off playing as Ripperoo for these, and the reason for that was simply because I wanted a bit of a change of character, because I had played as Crash Bandicoot for the entirety of the adventure mode. But I wasn't really thinking about stats, but you'll see in the video I actually changed characters to Dingodile for the most part. And that's just because he has the highest top speed of any character in the game. Well, he shares the top speed with other characters, but he is one of the characters with the top speed. And it actually made quite a lot of difference. I had never actually noticed how much of a difference that the stats make in this game until doing these time trials, where I, absolutely annihilated my previous best time by about 9 seconds just with a change of character. It actually felt different when I was playing it too. So now we're on Ruse Tubes. These first couple of races, there's nothing really all that special about them. I'm pretty sure that you could do this as really any character. It's just a matter of you need to keep boosting, you need to keep drifting, you need to not crash, obviously. That is one thing where there's room for error with some of the relic races. I don't feel like there's quite as much room for error with the time trials, so that's probably why a lot of people find it harder, but I tend to be able to do the same thing every lap without really trying too hard. I don't really tend to make that many mistakes when it's a straight up race in this game anymore, so I potentially found it easier because of that. Not to say that I don't make any mistakes, it's just that when I do make a mistake in the time trials, it's not that big of a mistake, unlike in the relic videos where I was crashing into wooden poles and stuff all the time, just because I was trying to go out of my way to get the time crates. It's rather fitting that I played Ruse Tubes as Ripperoo. At least there's that. Come to think of it, oh yeah, I was going to say, Dingodile doesn't actually have his own track, does he? But he does actually. He has, is it called Dingo Canyon, I think? Something like that. Bit of a strange track for Dingodile. You would have thought, I don't know really how you would theme a track around a Dingodile. The only time you ever see him in the core games is when he's in the snowy boss fight in Crash 3. But then having another snow-themed level wouldn't have been good, because then there would have been 3. So I suppose they had to kind of make something up. The order of tracks here, by the way, is different to the relic videos I did, because the order of tracks here are how they're listed in the actual time trial mode, rather than the order that you do them in adventure mode. It's a bit weird how they changed the order for those things, but they did. So yeah, you can see here that I've changed my character to Dingodile, because this is where I started to struggle with doing it as a slower character. Ripperoo is actually probably one of the most balanced characters, because he's got a reasonably high top speed, but he's also got really good handling. So he's probably the best character to play as for, well, just general gameplay, like if you were playing it with people. He's probably the best character for that, apart from Tropy himself, who you unlock by doing this mode. If you beat Tropy's time in every single time trial, you unlock him as a playable character, which is why you would want to do this. But Entropy's stats are easily the best, I think. Just because they're all above average, and I'm pretty sure he's the only character where they're above average and quite above average, like they're actually quite high in every area. Whereas normally a character would have a weakness. Like Dingodile isn't very good at turning. So there's a couple of tracks later on in the game where I actually switched back to Ripperoo just because his turning was better. But I think that's in the second video. The way that these videos will be split up is quite simply just that I do half of the tracks in this video and then the second half of the tracks in the second video, so it kind of makes sense. As far as what I'm doing, I'm just trying to go as quick as possible. You can't actually take the shortcut in this level just because it's blocked off, and obviously you don't have weapons or anything to open it up. Again, slightly strange that the shortcut wasn't just opened for you like it was in the relic races, but there we go. It's closed off, so we have to go the long way around. Now there's Cocoa Park. Yeah, there's two ghosts there. One of them is my past time, and the other one is Entropy's time. And the reason that I already have a time on the track is because you actually have to get a reasonably good time on the track to actually unlock Entropy's ghost. Which means that you have to do every track twice in time trial mode, at least. Obviously, some of the tracks are quite difficult to actually beat Entropy's time, so you're going to need to do them more than twice. Which is actually a little bit annoying, because a lot of the time, I actually got a better time on my first attempt than I do when I'm trying to beat Entropy, and it kind of just makes me think maybe the way it should have worked is that if you beat Entropy's time on your first attempt anyway, it should have just have counted as you beaten him, but as it stands it doesn't work like that. A little bit annoying. And the same thing applies to, like, if you beat Oxide's time in the time trials while facing Entropy, it wouldn't count. I just find that a little bit irritating. You should have just been able to have done one really good run and then have beat Entropy and Oxide's times. Just all at once. I don't think I'm going to make a video of me beating Oxide's times, by the way, just because it's extremely difficult. Easily the most difficult thing to do in the entire game. And I'm not sure that the amount of time I put into actually doing that would be worth it based on, I don't know, just the amount of attention I would get from making these videos, I suppose. I would rather put my my time and effort into creating like another review or something rather than just playing Crash Team Racing for hours on end. Also, something that's a little bit disappointing is the fact that if you do beat Oxide's times, you don't actually unlock anything. You unlock like a scrapbook mode thing, or like a scrapbook video. But you already unlock the scrapbook video anyway by getting the Platinum Relics in Adventure Mode. I think that's what you unlock by getting the Platinum Relics anyway. I don't think you unlock the scrapbook just by getting normal relics. I think in my actual relic videos I got that bit of information wrong about what the Platinum Relics actually do. I think I was saying that they don't actually unlock anything, but they do, they unlock the scrapbook video. But it's so short that it's not really a good enough reward for getting the Platinum Relics, if I'm being honest. I feel like you should have potentially have unlocked a new character for getting all of the Platinum Relics, and you definitely should have unlocked another character for beating Oxide's times as well. I always find it very strange how Oxide himself isn't a playable character. Probably should have been. I think he was going to be, but then they ran out of time during development of the game. Because I think they developed the entire game in something like 9 months, which is ridiculous. So the fact that there is as many characters as there actually is quite impressive. But yeah, it is a shame that you can't play as Oxide. I would kind of hope that if they remade this, then they would add in the characters that are like missing, like Komodo Moe, potentially Torna Bandicoot, who else? Koala Kong, Embryo, Oxide. Just all of the characters from the first 3 games that aren't in Crash Team Racing. I would like that. They could also potentially make the sort of cheerleaders, like the people, the like bandicoots that are there when you win a trophy or a CTR token or whatever in adventure mode. They could make them playable. I think there's 4 different cheerleaders that change depending on who you play as. I might also like to see Baby Cortex and Baby Tropy from the end of Crash Bandicoot 3 be playable characters as well. I think that would be quite funny and unexpected. But if they were to do all of that, that would literally be every single character from the Crash trilogy that are playable, which would be incredible, I think. As far as what I'm actually doing here, it's just a matter... With Dingo Dial, if you're playing as one of the characters that have the highest top speed, I think the other one is Tiny Tiger, then really all you need to do is get familiar with the tracks and just learn how to boost constantly throughout them all. And you're pretty much gonna beat Tropy. It's not that difficult. I don't think there was any sort of single track that was particularly difficult for me to do here. Maybe Cortex Castle was probably the hardest one, but even then it wasn't that difficult. I don't think any of these took me any more than sort of 3 attempts to beat. So I got through it quite quick actually, which is good. But yeah, I did actually 100% this game for my review, so the footage you're watching now is actually the footage of me getting to the point where I had 100%ed it. Because obviously you have to do this to unlock Tropy, and I wanted to be able to show off all of the unlockable characters that you can get in the game. I've always thought that it's good how you unlock something for playing almost every single mode. So you unlock the majority of the characters in adventure mode, then you unlock Tropy in time trial mode, and the battle the battle stages in arcade mode. The only mode where you don't unlock anything is battle mode itself, and I was always a little bit disappointed with that. I always thought that battle mode should have been explored a little bit more in this game. It's a shame that it doesn't have a single player mode, for example. Sewer Speedway, one of my favourite tracks, as I mentioned in the last videos. I don't know what it is that I particularly like about this. I think I like the theme. I liked the theme back in Crash Bandicoot 2 as well. But I think it's just the fact that it feels like you can go really fast in this track, because you can get just the way that you can sort of manipulate the half-pipe mechanics. And it just makes it so that you're going insanely fast throughout the entire track, pretty much. I think this is one of the tracks, actually, where you can get a minus score in the relic races, because you can go so fast that you freeze the time and can do it quicker than 10 seconds, so that when the 10 seconds get taken off at the end, you actually have like a minus score, which is quite interesting. There is another track where you can do that as well, but I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. Can't remember. Maybe I'll get my memory jogged when we're going through these levels. It may seem a little bit pointless, me just making these videos, but I feel like if somebody was struggling with any of these tracks, they would be able to watch this and just kind of learn what my strategy of doing it is. I'm not saying that that's the best strategy, because I know that there's probably a million better strategies out there, but this is one that works, or it worked for me at least. Look how far ahead I am of Tropy and my previous best time there. That's insane. Like, I'm like quarter of the track ahead. I probably made like some kind of mistake on my first run of it or something. We're like half a lap ahead of Tropy. That's an easy one to beat. I wonder if the oxide time in that one is difficult to beat. I don't know if the oxide times are the developers' best times, but I've always sort of assumed that they are, but I don't know if that's actually the case. I'm pretty sure that there's a thing in Crash 3 where if you beat the platinum times, you can see the developer times, but that isn't actually available in the European version of the game, and obviously I'm from the UK, so that's the version of the game that I own. So, a little bit disappointing that I've never been able to really properly beat them. I'm pretty sure that that's a thing in the North American version. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But if that is the case, I wonder why they took it out for the European version. Very strange. So this is at Dingodale's actual level. So you would assume that he would be good at this. I'm actually lagging behind of Tropy's time a little bit here. I wonder how I catch up with him. Oh, I've pretty much taken over him now. If I was to beat, or try to beat Oxide's times, I would probably do it as Tropy, just because he does seem to have the best stats. Something else that I would hope they would change in a remake of this game actually is the fact that you can't actually view the character's stats in the game itself. Apart from the 8 that are unlocked from the beginning where you can see the stats in adventure mode. You can't actually see the unlockable character's stats because they don't appear in arcade or versus or the battle mode or anything like that. And obviously the unlockable characters aren't playable in adventure mode, so there's literally no way of looking at the stats. So you have to go, well, I went online to have a look what the stats were. So yeah, that's another thing that I would hope that they would change. Papu's Pyramid was the hardest one to get the Platinum Relic on. But it was easy to do the time trial on, which is why I say that I'm not sure that the time trials actually are harder than the relic races, even though I'm pretty sure that that is the general opinion out there. Going into this, I did think that the time trials were harder myself anyway. I don't know whether that's just me thinking that. I got pretty confident with taking that shortcut in Papu's Pyramid actually. At the beginning when I first started playing I never actually took it just because I was thinking that it's too risky, but after doing it so many times to get the Platinum Relic I just can do it without really thinking about it now. I think this is actually the last track of the video, so after this one we are entering the second half of the game, which will be in the second video. But really, to beat Tropy's time in this, all you need to do is get confident with that shortcut and you'll get a substantial boost past him. Like if you look there, Tropy is the blue dot on the map, and I'm obviously the flashing sort of yellow coloured dot. So I'm quite a substantial amount in front of him by taking that shortcut and just by kind of getting familiar with the track. By learning how to like boost around these corners, which I don't do perfectly, as you could see there. I kind of, yeah, and there I clipped the wall a little bit, which isn't ideal. You can actually make it around that bit without touching any of the walls if you get really good at drifting, but I've never quite worked out how to do it consistently. I can pull it off sometimes, but just not every time. But yeah, we're getting near to the end of the track now, so I'll sign off here. If you've enjoyed the video, give the next one a watch, and I'll see you next time. Bye!